How does my way of teaching or my approach or understanding of teaching work, or how does it, let's say, maybe the question is, does the way I teach represent the way other people teach in the Access community? Well, we do have a shared ethics, or a shared ethical code, let's say, and this is something that is fluid also. Ethics are not something that's set in stone, so we're in discussion. But we take our cue from the American Teachers Society, and also the Bill of Human Rights, and other common sense notions of how to treat people. So we don't espouse discrimination on the basis of sex, gender, class, or skin color, or sexual persuasion. These are like basics that you honor people in their own choices, and you try to meet them in their need. And we have an ethic about prioritizing those students who are the most endangered. So if somebody's really it's our call, So if we see somebody that we think is really going to hurt themselves while they're moving, then we'll spend more time with that person and less time with the people who seem to already know what they're doing. So this is like a shared understanding to try to dissolve this elitist approach to teaching movement, where those who are already talented will tend to receive more attention and more information-rich education, and to try to correct that balance by letting the people who already are talented formulate their own questions and work independently, because they have more ability, and also then conscript them or solicit their assistance in helping those who are less talented or who are, let's say, disadvantaged. Each teaching context is going to define the format to some degree. So, for example, if you teach somebody horse riding, then you have to be very strict about what they can or cannot do, because the horse is an extremely or potentially extremely dangerous animal. That's several tons of muscle and bone, and it's not necessarily civilized. So when you're teaching a child of 10 years old how to get up onto this mountain, then you have to be very clear. This you do, that you don't do. And the process will become more democratic as your student internalizes the do's and don'ts of that relationship. Same thing if you're having somebody climb the Spanish web, right, or work on the tissue, or work 5 feet off the ground on a tightrope. There's things you do and there's things you don't do, and you have to be very strict about that. Otherwise, you run the risk of having your students seriously injure themselves. So, if you have an open studio with a really nice floor and the temperature is regulated and you can be a little bit more lax in those rules. You don't have to be so strict. But each context is going to be different. For example, yesterday I was having people lift each other, and this becomes more obviously dangerous. So that when people give their weight in a dynamic state, then you have to be clearer about what works and what doesn't. And also the situation itself is demonstrative, so people will feel in their bodies the discomfort, the effort, also the frustration, right, that your body feels when something's not working. And that's a clear-cut situation where somebody with more experience can intervene and say, okay, look at this. This situation is less functional than this one. So this is what I'd like you to work towards. But in other circumstances, I can be more, this is an idea, take it, tweak it, in different ways, and let's talk about it later. So I like to play with all these different formats. I don't see that I have necessarily one way of teaching, and my teachers, I would say my teachers, but actually they're all the teachers in the Access Syllabus community. They are also experimenting with their own approach, and this is really, I think, part of the wealth, the common treasure, or the common resources that we provide each other. So when we get together and we talk, we also share points of view about what works and what doesn't work. You know, we are discussing these things.